And we are back. Nimrandir coming back for some more Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Helwig the Last Warrior is currently hanging out here in the Defender's Heart, catching up with all of his exciting new companions that he's acquired. So, we're pointedly not starting with Darren. We're going to come here to Ember, because, she seems more fun to talk to, so. She's young, still an adolescent by the standards of the elven folk. Childish, carefree smile playing on her face. Her wandering eyes linger on me for just a moment before darting off again into the distance. Terrible scars cover her body, and a few of her fingers are missing. I was looking at the character arts. I guess on the left hand you can see him up near her face. I was thinking, I think I'm counting all. Notice, I think maybe missing one on the right hand too. Anyway, Crow sits on her shoulder, observing me with its clever black eyes. Tell me about yourself. Sure, why not? Well, they call me Ember. I used to live in the River City, and now I walk with you. That's my story. Where are you from? Far away, from the flower country. Girl gestures vaguely off into the distance. It's so beautiful there. Everywhere there's flowers blooming, golden towers, and waterfalls. Everyone is like me, with pointy ears. There's no round-eared people, no short ones, no horned heads. We lived there together, me and Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad argued a lot. Dad used to say that all the good people should go on the crusade and fight the demons. And Mom said he was silly because it was so far away and none of our business, and that he shouldn't abandon his child. She meant me. But he didn't abandon me. He took me along. He said I was born the same year that the whole of the demon world opened. He said it was a sign that I would be one of the heroes to close it. Of course, I'm not a hero, but I'm here anyway, helping as much as I can. So why do they call you Ember? I've had many names. When I was little, Mom and Dad called me Dove, or Cricket, or Kitten. Dad called me his Ray of Sunshine. When my mom was cross, she called me by a long name, a grown-up one. I can't remember it, no matter how hard I try. Then, when I came to live in the River City, the good people called me different funny names, like Ember, Torch, or Smoky. I don't know why. They called me Bird Brain because I have a crow. They called me Lucky 7 because of my fingers. Raising her hands, middle finger on her right hand. Good eye, Nim. And the two smaller fingers on her left are missing. They sometimes called me Grilled Meat and said I was stupid. But I didn't feel hurt. I mean, they're right. I really am silly. They didn't mean to hurt me. I like Ember. It's a good word. Embers are like people. On the outside, they're gray and cold like stones, but they're warm inside. And you can blow on them, and they'll start a fire to help you survive a cold night. That's wonderful, isn't it? Ember it is. How'd you survive on the streets? She shrugs. There are many good people in the River City. When I sang for them in the street, they'd often give me coins, or bread, or sometimes even clothes. I shared everything with the other homeless, and they showed me where it's safe to sleep, where I could get out of the rain and cold, where I could find discarded things. When the demons destroyed the River City, I looked for my friends, but I found no one. They probably all died. The homeless have no supplies or weapons or basements to hide in, and the knights won't protect them either. Knights are like gods, so self-important. They're saving the world after all. What do they care about the homeless? Still smiling, she shrugs. Well, she's kind of already let us in on this. Knights are like gods, self-important. So, we'll go ahead and ask this. It's, again, I've read the lore book. I know the answer. But do you worship any particular deity? Girl shakes her head with an unwavering smile. Dad taught me to pray to Iamade. He said she was a kind goddess, and she called people to crusade against evil. The knights who burned my dad and me worshipped her, too. They even lit the fire with a prayer to her, and she did nothing to help us. But then one kind knight, alone, without any gods, changed his mind and saved me. I think the gods are the same as us. They don't understand anything, and they're scared of everything, so they hurt themselves and the rest of us. People worship the gods only because they're afraid of being responsible for themselves. And the gods listen to the praise, and they become smug and arrogant, and begin to believe that they're better than us. But they're no better. They're silly sinners just like the rest of us. Sometimes I pray to the gods. Different ones. The good ones, the bad ones. I ask them to stop. Stop fighting and hurting each other. I don't know if they ever hear me, but if they do, the knight who wanted to burn me, he was able to change his mind and do a good deed. If he can change, maybe Baphomet can too. Sure, Ember. Yeah. Baphomet can change. Yeah, that's totally happening. Baphomet's changing. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Well, we know where she got her scars, I think, but we'll ask anyway. It happened by accident. My dad and I came sailing down the river to join the crusade. Oh, never mind. This wasn't when she got into the city. She was already burned when she got here. Which I guess makes sense. She said the people in the river city already knew she was missing fingers, so... Dad said that all the good people were going to the world wound to heal it. He said that the Crusaders were the best people in the world, and together we were going to win. But when we arrived at the river city, the Crusaders got everything mixed up. They thought my dad and I were bad and decided to burn us at the stake. Dad died, and I cried so loudly that one good knight realized it was all a big mistake. He started yelling at the other Crusaders, even the one in charge, then walked right into the fire and got me out. The others wanted to stop him, but he took out his sword and scared them away. The kind knight took me to a healer. I later learned that while the knight was pulling me from the flames, he himself was burned so badly that he died not long after. But I'm still alive. A few fingers missing, and my skin is funny. I've lived in the River City ever since. Is Canabras the River City? I'm confused. Anyway. I never had my own house, but I had many friends. And then the demons came, and I met you, and you know what happened after that. I've heard enough of your sob stories. I'm getting my finger away from the button. I don't want to push that. That lynch mob called themselves Crusaders. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't think he could be quite so merciful. That seems appropriate. No one can say how much good or evil they have in them. No one can see into their own soul. She smiles and tilts her head. Her inquisitive look wanders over my face as if she's trying to look into my soul. No one knows until it's time to check. Alright. Magical powers. These tricks, I have them from my grandma. She used to be my father's grandma, and before that, his father's. I've never seen her myself. She's very clever and kind. When I lived on the street, sometimes she left food for me or a blanket in the winter. Sometimes I feel her stroking my hair as I fall asleep. But if I open my eyes, there's no one near. Okay. She also sent me soot. Scratching the crow's beak, the bird grumbles happily in response. She tells Soot how to do different tricks, and Soot teaches me. Hey. Wow, I managed to make a lore check by myself. Awesome. Appears that Ember doesn't know who exactly gives her these powers, but you can guess from her words that her patron is Andaletta, a powerful Archon, one of the Imperial Lords, also known as Grandmother Crow. Well, that's fun. Okay. I learned a thing. Nice. I actually did not know that particular Imperial Lord, so neat. Oh, not at all. I didn't really tell you anything. How is she so cheerful? Like, hope? She tilts her head and continues the smile. No. Hope is a lie. What should we hope for? The world is in the hands of demons. Gods can't help, or they don't want to. They forgot about us altogether. The people know they're about to be eaten by demons, but they still quarrel with each other and fight and steal. There's no hope. Only us. We'll have to win without hope. It'll be hard. The entire abyss is against us. We can only win by some miracle, which means we'll have to make one happen. What other choice do we have? We'll work a miracle and win, because we have to. The elf smiles broadly and nods to herself. Okay, yeah. I'm not sending her away, because she's super useful, but, I should go. So go! The elf watches with a radiant smile as I leave. Alright, well, that's one person down. Okay, so now... no, I still don't want to talk to you, Darren. I'm going to go talk to Woljif. I just keep, like, walking by him and then just leaving. There's Woljif. He's over here. Yep. Woljif gives me a friendly wave. Hey, Chief. Want to talk? Like, leave the park. Get out of here. Skeedat. No, I want to know more about you. How much is more? Tell me about the Thieflings. Alright, I won't tell you everything, mine, but I can tell you a little. The Thieflings are Mendevian thieves. The gang was started in Mendev's capital by someone or other, and soon after they'd spread all over Galarian. They're also called the Family. You know why? Because us Tieflings are easy to spot. Wherever we go, guards always hassle us, asking, "Are you lost or summit, Hornhead?" We usually say we're visiting family. And if they say, "Oh yeah, who?" you give them the name of a local thiefling, who confirms everything, even if he's never seen you before in his life. That's why we're all brothers and sisters. Interesting. There are rules. Who does what, who gets what cut. I won't say it's a lot, but they make it worth your while. They'll even heal you if you take an arrow. But the biggest no-no is this. You don't steal from the family. If you don't contribute to the shared pot, you'll get the cold shoulder. You won't be treated like family no more. Then everyone will hear that you went to visit some relatives who have a farm someplace. My best guess? The farm is in some underground well beneath Canabras where they breed grave worms. If Sister Charisme, our boss, looked the other way more often, I'd really be able to spread my wings. Nobody should live under the constant threat of punishment. You could kill Charisme and take her place. Stealing from someone you call a sister? That's low, sure. Birds fly low before a storm. I'm just surviving as best I can. Olja fixes me with a look. Imagine the situation, Chief. You're 7 years old. You come home. Your own grandma, your family, is lying there drunk. There's no food because she got wasted in the morning and didn't cook anything. You know that she has a stash under the 3rd floorboard. You take this money so as you don't starve to death. Then, when she wakes up, she beats you because you shouldn't have taken it. You should have stolen some food. You're a waste of space. It's something you can never understand, Chief. You only care about moral choices. You always know what's right and what's wrong. Brother, sister, grandma, mother. In real life, they're just words. Wow. So, how'd you become a thiefling? Grins happily. I was already a tiefling. Life made me a thief. I've been in this business since I was a kid. My grandma used to say, if you don't work, you don't eat. She gave me as an apprentice to Gur, a tiefling neighbor of ours. He was a cunning old geezer. He knew how to take a purse off somebody's belt, how to cut open bags undetected, even do some magic. I used to climb through basement windows and open doors from the inside while I was still small enough. When I grew and stopped fitting through the windows, I decided I was done with my education. I repaid my grandma for everything she'd done for me, which was absolutely nothing. Why would I feed her if she wasn't bringing me any money? If you don't work, you don't eat. So I took off. I got bored of my teacher, too, but when I as much as hinted at leaving, he said I owed him for my education. So I just nodded. Then I joined the Owlbears, the gang that ran our district, and told them that Eager was working their territory. And I don't know what happened to him, but I stayed with the Owlbears. Then their leader started giving me the cold shoulder. I did steal from him, but never that much. So I had to rat them out to the guards. Then I joined the Golden Hands. That was a good time. Rich pickings. I would have stayed with the Golden Hands, but the Northmen promised me a bigger cut if I told them where the Golden Hands kept their loot. No fool, of course, so I told them. After that, I only had one option. Join the Northmen. And then the family came. At first, no one took them seriously, calling them thieflings and all that, but I felt it right away. They had power behind them. They had more money. And I'm always on the winner's side, Chief. That's why I joined the thieflings. Right on time. Some thugs came from the capital and made the Northmen leave. The ones who survived are in the family now, too. Are your family tieflings, too? My family. It's an interesting story, actually, but I don't tell it to just anyone. My father and mother had a bakery. Their life was great, but the gods never blessed them with any children. One day, my mother went to the river to wash some clothes and saw a basket floating downstream. Inside the basket was a baby, adorable and chubby and fast asleep. It was yours truly. In my hand was a note spritzed with expensive perfume that said, "Take care of my little angel." My mother brought me home, and she and my father realized right away that I was heaven sent. They raised me as their own. When I turned 15, my mother showed me my baby blanket. It was embroidered with the coat of arms of an unknown kingdom, all in gold thread. Ever since then, I've been looking for my real parents. It's not easy. Traveling takes money. So if you have a few gold coins, I'll pay you back as soon as I find my real family. I give you my word. Given that we've already asked where he told us about his grandmother, that doesn't sound very believable. Seriously? Usually everyone just believes everything I say. People love stories like that. You know, cute baby, basket, blanket. What's not to love? They look at me differently. As if I'm worth more just because the sheets I spit up on might have had a fancy coat of arms on them. He laughs bitterly. If I was really a prince, I wouldn't be sitting around here. I can tell you that much. I'd have already gone to take what was rightfully mine. Then I'd come back with an army, so I could watch the guards and merchants who pushed me around all my life bow and scrape before me. But that's not going to happen. Want to hear the real story? True story is boring. My family is human, both my father and my mother. They used to live in a village nearby. I forget the name. When my ma had me, my old man got so mad he almost killed her, pinned her to the wall and started asking questions like why his son had horns and a tail. Well, my ma told him that her mother, my grandma, used to fool around with a demon. When he heard this, Daddy Dearest got drunk, trashed the house, and then took off. I don't remember any of this, of course. My grandma told me. I was about 3 years old when my mother brought me to Canabras and left me with her. She said, "You and your demon have ruined my life. Now you handle him." Then she left. I haven't seen her or my dad since. She did leave a blanket, though. That part was true. My grandma burned it because it was infested with lice. It wasn't even good enough to use as a rag. You think after all that, my grandmother saw the light, felt rightly ashamed, and kissed my horns? I wish. Grins nastily, his yellow eyes flashing. People used to give her trouble for fooling around with a demon. She wasn't welcome anywhere, so she got angry. Normal kids get bedtime stories. See, the only tales I got told were how my dad was worthless, my ma was a slut, and I was demon spawn that no one cared about. She only kept me so I could help around the house and steal things she needed. So that's the truth. Yeah, I'm willing to just let that one go. Yeah, your shadow looks strange. What kind of magic is that? Ladies and gentlemen, roll up, roll up. No dark magic, no fraud, a trick without any deception. Woljif snaps his fingers and blue flame engulfs him. It's kind of wacky. The shadow that was previously lying calmly at his feet grows, floating in the air behind him. It's the shadow of a huge, horned, winged demon with claws. Ta-da! Yeah, we'll pivot this so we can see it, because that's kind of interesting. It's visually intriguing, right? It doesn't do anything, it just looks scary. I remember when I was little, an old beggar showed me and my friends how to make shadow puppets. You put your fingers together in front of a light, and it makes the shadow of a deer or a dog or a dove on the wall. I tried so hard. I wanted to make the best shadow. And I did. It just happened. Funnily enough, that's the last time I had any real friends. They tried to stone me later, screaming at me, calling me a demon. The tiefling is always a demon to these wimps. Even the lowest-ranking drunken gnome thinks he's better than me, just because he hasn't got horns or a tail. The poorest beggar in the filthiest gutter thinks he's better than me. Most people would never show their shadow again after that first time. And I don't care. If stones start flying again, I'll just run. I'm used to it by now. Yeah, it looks formidable. Yeah, Pelg's gonna like that, sure. Chuckles, pleased. What about the blue fire? That's my favorite part. It doesn't burn at all. If I had a coin for every time I've caught a beating for my little show here, I'd already be proposing to Galfrey. Still, I don't want to give up on something so beautiful. So, what do you think of Canabras? It used to be such a hole. Then the Crusaders and refugees came here, and things started looking up. Although it depends who you ask, I suppose. Witches better steer clear of here, because the Amade's followers are ferocious. Especially Holren Shapak, the local inquisitor. He's a tough old goat. I didn't see it myself, but a serving girl at the tavern told me that her second cousin's son from his third wife is a paladin. Really, Woljif? Second cousin's son from his third wife. Okay. And she said that Holren takes an unsheathed sword with him even to the privy. When he sleeps, he puts it on the pillow next to him. And when he's in his cups, he strokes the blade and whispers sweetly to it. "You are my one true friend. You are the only one I can rely on." Erebeth's given us a hard time, too. You as much as look at some nice little bauble, and before you can think of taking it, before your fingers even twitch, she's coming for you with her nostrils flaring, her fangs glinting. Scary woman. Even she's better than Sister Charisme, our boss here in Canabras. By our, I mean the Thiefling's boss. If you get caught by Erebeth, it's all out in the open. You go to prison or you end up as worm food. But if you step on Charisme's toes, poof, you're gone. Just like that. No one ever sees you again. All you'll hear is, he went to the family farm. Even though he's never had a family or a farm. Alright, sure. So you have demon blood in you. Do you feel drawn to the abyss? His tail whips back and forth nervously, raising clouds of dust. Why? Are you an inquisitor or something? What's it to you? If I've wronged you somehow, just come out and say it. Don't ask me trick questions. I know how it happens. I used to know a fella. He was married to the sister of a guard. I knew a guy who was married to the sister of a guard. Some shady types got him drunk one night and started asking him suspicious questions about the gods, about the queen. So he wakes up hungover with a headache. Someone's mumbling something. Smells like smoke. His feet are kind of hot. He looks down. There's a fire under him, and the prelate is reading out his sentence. Okay. Yeah, that's plenty. Alright, so, go ahead, Chief. I should go. Whatever. You're free to do as you please. He shrugs. Alright. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. So we'll talk to Thorn here. So, the elf's pale, beautiful face bears an expression of melancholy detachment. How may I help? I met Kaelessa. His melancholic expression remains calm. His entire body tenses, and his fingers wrap around the handle of his weapon. Under what circumstances? I hope you seize the opportunity to kill her. She claims she doesn't serve the demons. Of course she does. In an attempt to buy her life, she would stoop to the boldest and the most egregious of lies. Whose word do you trust? Hers or mine? How certain are you of these allegations? Thorn lowers his head and says in a hollow voice, I am. Her misdeeds are terrible and proven with absolute certainty. Alright, let's see what happens here. I let her go. After giving me a saddened look, Thorn stares off into the distance. Your decision is regrettable. I'm afraid that in doing so, you've condemned her many future victims to death. I suppose it just means that bringing this hunt to a close falls upon my shoulders. Okay, so I can ask him more apparently. I didn't, Okay, so no. Won't hold anything back, not who I am, why I'm in my way here, or who it is that I'm pursuing. Tell me more about yourself. Other peoples tend to believe that identity is the sum of a person's actions and the events that happen to them. For them, I am one of a long line of warriors of Keonin, who since his youth has dedicated himself to hunting evil and injustice. For them, I am a successful and capable huntsman who has tracked down and slain a great many monsters. But I am an elf, and for me, my identity has a different meaning. It is shaped by the place where I was born and that I love so deeply. I am shaped by what I find beautiful and what makes my heart quicken, by the fears that come to me in the dead of night, by the things I find so intolerable that at the sight of them, my very core darkens and fills with poison. Thus, to tell you who I am, I would require many days and much candor, which is more than you and I have at our disposal. Why did you choose to be a hunter of evil? Because I am the son of a noble and proud nation. We are sometimes criticized for our arrogance, but no one dares doubt our honor. When a crime is committed, we cannot turn a blind eye. If we were to abandon our obligation to oppose evil, if we were to surrender this obligation to other races, we would also relinquish our preeminence. Refresh my memory about Kaelessa. That miscreant, unfortunately, is of the elven race. In the blessed shade of Keonin, she swore herself to the faith of Deskari and set out on her criminal path in his name. Darkness rewarded her with great powers and repulsive disfigurement, so she could no longer hide her sins. Kaelessa fled here to be closer to her master, and I followed her. Sure, the quarry that brought you to Mendev, we already... Yeah, so... I should go. Good fortune to me. Yeah, I'm still thinking, like I said, he's kind of talking around it, but yeah, I've got this weird, drow feeling here, so, like a drow tiefling thing? I don't know. Alright, well, I guess we're up to Darren now. He's kind of all that's left, so... The Defender's Heart is a splendid choice for the Crusade's outpost. The very sight of these walls brings back fond memories of drinks and revels. Drinks were really good, by the way. What made you join my party after all? You mean instead of carousing far away from Canabras with a small army of mercenaries to protect me? I will get to that. You see, when you appeared at my door out of nowhere, awash with bravery and heroism, and started tossing demons around like rag dolls. To be fair, Helwig did smack down some demons pretty hard. I thought that your company might be more exciting than my usual crowd of sycophantic hangers-on. You seemed competent and mysterious at the same time, so I decided that a little demon hunting wouldn't hurt, especially with such an intriguing entourage. That party had been growing staler with every passing second anyway. Needless to say, I'm not here for long. I shall return to the capital or even one of my country estates as soon as we reclaim the city. Crusades, bellowing commanders, row upon row of identical tents. This is not the life for me, but we'll certainly remember you and our adventures together. For a week, or perhaps even longer than that. Let's ask him about life in Mendev, because he's going to know so much about it. Ask. I'm all ears. What do you think of our enemies? Do you mean the demons themselves, or their followers? The former deserve to be cleansed with heavenly fire for their unholy origin alone, the latter for their idiocy. I don't understand why a sane person would submit themselves to Descari or Cabriri. All right, Lady Nocticula almost seems like a bearable enough mistress, yet there's so many other cultists. They've tried to recruit me twice already. I'm not even that old. First, a very pretty tiefling girl tried to seduce me, when they came with promises of Lord Baphomet's endless boons. I still wonder what exactly the old hornhead could offer me that I don't already have. You know what I've been thinking? Every shopkeeper knows this trick. An enticing offer along the lines of, 1 in every 100 buns from my bakery contains a silver coin. And of course, a hired actress to make a memorable show of finding said coin in her sweet bowl. There you have it. Hundreds of gullible fools stormed the shop hoping to win a prize for themselves. I think the infamous Arilu Vorlesh was such an actress for the Lords of the Abyss. A petty Sarkorian witch who became the uncrowned queen of the world wound, waited upon hand and foot by demon lords. Only instead of visiting a bakery, the gullible fools rushed to join the cultists. We have an army of unbelievably powerful supernatural invaders from another dimension, hell-bent on destruction and domination. What do those fools do? They serve them willingly as pawns and lackeys, hoping against hope that someday their masters will notice them. You won't believe how delighted I am to be so vain and self-absorbed. These sins protect me against demonic temptation better than any virtue. What's your opinion on Mendev today in general? Sure. It doesn't exist. It's a frontier country that has attracted every utopian adventurer and fanatic from all over the world for more than a century. It's a place where the strangers outnumber the locals, especially in the cemeteries. The population of Mendev, for the most part, consists of humans and other races not exactly known for their longevity, so the current generation of Mendevians were born in the shadow of the world wound and raised by the Crusades. I might be the last person to complain about the decline of traditions and lack of character in our country, but I also happen to come from one of Mendev's most ancient lineages. Its history is bred deep in my bones. My tutors told me stories about my heritage. The galleries, libraries, and even the interiors of the manors I grew up in were filled to the brim with memories of events long past. There are many old heroes of Mendev among my glorious ancestors, or at the very least patrons and contemporaries of such heroes. Does anyone actually remember them now? I don't think so. These days Mendev has its own heroes, in shining armor and with holy fire in their eyes. I myself remember how several streets that once celebrated my ancestors were renamed in honor of some crusaders who had died in a heroic fashion. None of the citizens remembered the old crossing festival that was eventually replaced by Armas. These holidays even share the same date. Pretty much the only authentic thing about Mendev now is its endless war with the demons. Is there a point in bemoaning this state of affairs? What's gone is gone, but at least we are no longer some tiny god-forsaken northern kingdom, and that's something, isn't it? You don't really like Crusaders, do you? Quite the opposite. When I think about how many devoted heroes are willing to protect this world against the demonic threat, I feel so inspired. Inspired to continue indulging my vices while they fight to keep me safe. Imagine being someone like me, someone who has everything they can possibly desire. Youth, beauty, wealth, an honest wish to live and enjoy living, but vanishingly few ways to put it all to any use. The fact that the word fun itself is not yet outlawed in Mendev must be due to some bureaucratic oversight. You can celebrate your victories solemnly, you can wet your whistle after a challenging battle, but what about real fun? Joys, pleasures? I can't remember a single evening at court without someone chastening me for my banquets, my lovers and mistresses, my luxuriant clothes, my everything. It would have been a lot easier to tolerate all those hypocrites if they took a break once in a while. Instead, there was a constant fuss about how I wasn't doing anything for the greater good, how I only brought shame to my royal cousin. Wow, so yeah, he's been talking a lot. Wonderful! I'm out of questions. So we'll go ahead. What can I ask about him personally? You can try to ask personal questions. Alright. So yeah, you don't seem especially keen on helping people, but your knowledge of healing is truly impressive. What prompted your interest in that? If If you really want to try out everything life has to offer, you also have to understand how to deal with consequences. I'm not talking about a simple hangover, mind you. What do you cherish most in life? There are far too many things that I cherish to fit them all into a single conversation. Believe it or not, I might be one of the most life-loving people you've ever known. He smiles, his eyes gleaming with something different from his usual impudence and irony. There's a dreamy air about him all of a sudden. I rarely meet anyone who embraces the joys of living as enthusiastically as myself. There's so many exciting and beautiful things in the world. It should be illegal to waste your time on anything you do not enjoy. And I am not afraid to repeat that to anyone's face, should it be Descari and his demonic herd, or Yamade the Lightbringer herself. What do you hate the most? The feeling of helplessness, the lack of control over my own life. Replies without thinking. Then he adds, with obvious sarcasm, and onion rings, of course. I'd murder the person who came up with those abominations. See, now I'm about to kick Darren out of the party. Nim loves onion rings. That's a thing. I get them pretty much anytime they're available as a side dish. Anyway. So, stories about the tragedy that befell your family. Hope you don't feel obliged to offer me your insincere condolences on this unfortunate occasion. My whole family, my entire noble line, they all died. Demons are to blame. It's not like I actually loved any of my relatives except for my mother, but what's gone is gone. The family crypts are full of corpses, all covered in dust in the shadows of the past. Alright, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up with some, good stories about his past exploits. I've got plenty, but I have to warn you that even the most outrageous debauchery sounds far less thrilling when you are not the one doing the debauching. Is that the verb? Debauch? Anyway. Still, since you asked, I suppose the worst mess I've ever got myself into was when I staged my own kidnapping. I was once in correspondence with one of the Riverlands nobles, the young Lord Lebeda, and he told me about his days as a hostage to a group of bandits. This made me wonder what it would be like, and I thought that it might be fun to set up a little experiment. I engineered my own kidnapping by a certain gang through a chain of intermediaries and hired actors. Those fellows took the job very seriously. They caught me by surprise, killed my 2 bodyguards, and even tied me up. Of course, the whole thing seems preposterous now, but it seemed like an ingenious idea at the time. The employers had told the kidnappers they were to keep me safe and sound, and another group of mercenaries in disguise was watching the spectacle from afar, ready to interfere in case anything went wrong. It turned out to be a terrible idea nonetheless. It wasn't the least bit fun or exciting. Sure, those bandits had been unable to torture or hurt me physically in any way, but they had plenty of other, non-invasive methods of humiliation in their arsenal. Taking almost all of your clothes off and splashing ice-cold water all over you, for example. Ugh. I can't even remember if I said anything truly offensive to provoke them. Even though I initially planned to let them go after the ransom, their overly emotional reactions made me change my mind. I told my mercenaries to hang them all on the spot. I suppose the whole ordeal taught me a valuable lesson, which is that I am not built for hardships and trials. Wait, you just told me that a couple of your bodyguards died during this kidnapping. Yeah, that's a valid question. Nim is laughing, Hellwig's not, but Darren pales a little, but not out of shame. Oh, spare me. It irks me beyond all measure when I hear about the suffering of innocents. Continuing in a flat, polite tone. Yes, the bodyguards died. Guarding nobles is a dangerous job. They were well aware of the risk. I don't really see a problem with that. Besides, they proved their incompetence. They would have stood no chance against real kidnappers. Sure, we'll go the chaos route. I shall console myself with that thought. So that was a stupid story, and now I'll tell you a truly brilliant one. Prelate Holren had always strictly prohibited any public celebrations in Canabras, and he always picked on me for my lack of respect for the fallen and whatnot. His grumbling annoyed me so much that one day I drove 4 barges into the city harbor and set up a celebration on their decks. The ships on the river didn't fall into the prelate's jurisdiction, you see, so all he could do was snarl at me from the embankment. I, for one, did not forget the old boy. The main attraction of the festivities involved an Inquisitor of Yamade dancing and roasting beautiful witches on illusory bonfires, taking off his clothes with every new victim. So sorry. The spectacle was so heated, in every sense of the word, that the prelate almost had a stroke. He gives me a mischievous smile. I still consider that one of my finest ideas of all time. Should the Crusaders ever succeed in their efforts against the World Wound, I will do my utmost to get permission to hold a grand public celebration. Rivers of wine free of charge, an obligatory parade and a carnival in the evening. A contest for the most provocative succubus costume with a hefty prize in gold. Oh dear. Another contest where the participants have to fish a sausage out of a wine jar blindfolded with their hands tied behind their backs. The wine will symbolize the blood of all the dead heroes of the war, and the sausage, well, they'll find a heroic meaning for that as well. Over the years, the commemoration of the greatest victory of light over darkness will turn into an ordinary holiday. A fine excuse to get sloshed and roughed like animals in the streets. Yeah, I think I'm done. He clearly enjoys being mean to everyone. Look at that smile in the character art. Yeah, he enjoys everything. I hope this conversation was at least the slightest bit amusing. I should go. Alright, well, that's been another half hour of talky bits, and I think we're caught up with everybody. I will probably try touching base off camera with Irabeth and Anevia and such and seeing if there's anything new that I haven't already brought up. Also, you can see Hellwig stretching. I'm tired of him grumbling about being sleepy, so we're going to go catch some shut-eye. But anyway, thanks for watching. Feel free to check out the rest of the Nimrandir Plays Wrath of the Righteous series. I promise eventually we will get back to actually saving Canobras and not just chatting with people, but role player's gonna role play, right? Anyway, we will catch you next time.